All right, let's take you again to the streets as we continue to monitor the national shutdown. Mbalenhle Mthethwa, our reporter, is at OR Tambo Airport. Mbalenhle, thank you so much for your time. What's happening there?
Well, Bongiwe, you will understand that today was that national shutdown that was organized by the EFF, and we saw a number of places turning into picket lines. One of those was Pretoria, as well as Sandton, and outside the airport where these people are. We understand that they came from Marikana, which is not far from where we are right now. There were a number of protests here in Ekurhuleni. Tembisa was earmarked as a hot spot, and we understand that there were also more protests in places like KwaThema, where a minibus taxi was burned down in the early hours of this morning, and we saw young people and EFF members staging a sit-down at one of the busiest shopping centers in that area, which is Tsakane Mall, just next to Brakpan, really. So these are the events that actually unfolded in Ekurhuleni, and we're going to speak to EMPD spokesperson Kilebukhile Tipa just to get a sense of why it is they've also just deployed so many police officers here outside the airport. We do understand that it is a national key point, and that, you know, access and entry into the building has to be restricted to a certain extent. However, looking at the number of people who are here and the number of police here, it would seem as though the police are somewhat the residents here are outnumbered by the number of police vehicles and contingents that is here. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Lerato. Sorry, Kilebukhile. We understand that this is a national key point, right? And your job is to make sure that you protect the airport. But was it necessary to bring in so many police officers? I mean, we know the road around here has also been blocked off.
Good afternoon, Mbali. Yes, it is necessary to bring such heavy police contingency to a national key point like this. We do know that OR Tambo is one of those that are our ports of entry. So to ensure the safety of both internationals and locals, we need to have a visible police presence.
Certainly. Now, you know, you've been around Ekurhuleni all over today, right? But before we speak to all the other areas that you've been to, how long have these people been here for, and were there any attempts to try and enter the building?
In terms of the airport itself, or rather within the vicinity of the OR Tambo, starting around 12 midday, where we have seen them move from the Marikana area right into this vicinity of the airport. And we as the EMPD are ensuring that all those who are participating in this peaceful demonstration are of course safe, and of course those working here at the airport are also kept safe at all times.
But was there an attempt to enter or force their way inside the airport by the protesters we see here?
No, not with this large number of police contingency, where even security forces of AXA company are on the ground with us, ensuring that nobody gets access to that except for those who are authorized. You would have noted again that with the airport entries, all major entries into the airport have been cordoned off by both the South African Police Services and the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, in conjunction again with other law enforcement, including the center.
Now, you've been responding to a number of calls around the region. Talk to us about the ones that really stood out for you.
You know, we can't just confirm that this protest has rather been conducted with such grace of discipline, whereas we haven't had reports of any infrastructure being burnt or anything that is out of the ordinary in that regard. So we do commend that, you know, since they are exercising a constitutional right, that this one has been carried forward with understanding and great understanding of ensuring essential infrastructure is kept.
What about the minibus taxi that was burnt down in KwaThema?
The minibus taxi burnt down is as a result of a tire that was already set alight during that. So it's not out of an act of violence. I think it was more of a negligence on a certain degree where it needs further investigation surrounding the incident.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. That is EMPD spokesperson talking about the efforts that they have made to ensure that the national key point, that is the airport here, is protected and that no one forces their way in. And also just talking about all the incidents that they've responded to and saying that the protest has overall been carried out peacefully. We will be catching up with the national spokesperson of the EFF, who's going to be telling us more about the incidents that they have encountered as protesters who are marching on the streets of Ekurhuleni, not only here towards OR Tambo, but also in Tembisa, where they are and where we are going to be heading to see what is happening there. For now, it's back to you in studio.
Right, we'll continue to monitor developments through your eyes on the ground there. Mbalenhle Mthethwa, our reporter, coming to us live from OR Tambo International Airport.